Okay, now it's live. Give it a minute to get people in here. But this is your last. Is this your last night? You said.
Tonight is my last night in your beautiful country. I don't want to leave. I've already cried twice today because my country, Australia, is a prison island at the moment. So I'm not looking forward to going back.
And how long have you been here?
6 weeks.
Okay. And was it like, did you leave as soon as you guys were allowed to leave?
Pretty much. So I ran for the federal election for the Senate for Western Australia, where I'm from. And then as soon as the election was over, I got on a plane and I came here. So
yeah, why don't you go ahead and why don't you introduce yourself and what you've been up to this last year?
Yeah, so I'm Kate Fantinel. I'm from Western Australia. I ran for the Libertarian Party, the Liberal Democrats, at the recent federal election. And wasn't successful. Our party didn't do as well as we thought we would because Australia is sleepwalking into tyranny and socialism. It's quite scary. If you follow anything that's happening on Twitter and in the real news, you'll see that Australia, Canada, New Zealand, all these great liberal democracies are falling, quite frankly. And yeah, so I'm just out in America, in this beautiful country, the land of the free and home of the brave. I think that's what it is. Just enjoying your freedoms and appreciating your country so much.
Okay, you gotta get. I remember you made a post about being at like a music festival or something too, and you're like, "Oh my gosh!"
Well, I haven't been to a music festival for over 2 years, and I used to go to them all the time. I'm a big punk rocker fan, so I've had a few teary moments in this country, just having that freedom back that some people seem to take for granted. But you guys had to fight for your freedoms, and Australia was just handed on a platter, so we don't really appreciate it like you do.
Well, yeah, and things are just so different back there because they were even talking about your guys' election is on one day, right?
Yes.
The voting for it is just one day.
Yeah. Yes.
People think it's so bad in America if you can't vote, if you don't have time to vote within like 6 weeks of like early voting, and it's like, okay, see, things are different in other places.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So you ran for a Senate position, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what percent of the vote you got, or like where you were?
So our system's a little bit different. So there were lots of minor parties contesting this time, which split the vote. So there were about 8 different Freedom Party options that people could choose from. Our party, Liberal Democrats, have been around the longest for over 20 years in Australia. So across the board, we were at about 2.5% of the vote, which for us, that's about normal. So we didn't go backwards, but we didn't go forward. Like I said, Australia is sleepwalking into tyranny, and we voted in a far left government. The Greens, which are extreme socialists, hold a balance of power there. So we went too far the other way because Australians seem to think the government is there to help them and to save them. So I tried to tell them, just read a history book. The government is not your friend, but we're going to have to learn the hard way.
And then right before you came on tonight, did you say you were out shooting guns?
I was at a shooting range.
I have a lot of gun followers, so you should
good.
talk about that.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm a big shooter in Australia. I actually campaigned on guns for my election, which was a bit controversial for Australia, as we don't have very many guns. Most of them were taken away back in '96 after we had one massacre. So I went out and shot full autos today. Had a great time. I got my "Don't Tread on Me" hat, which I bought at the range. So nice. Yeah, I'm so jealous of all the fun things you get to have. We don't have them in Australia.
Yeah, I mean, there's even places out here where I live in Colorado where people have their shooting ranges just on their property. You can just go out and do it right there. So completely different. Did you? Yeah, I think I read you. Did you do competitive shooting or something?
Yeah, so I'm a pistol shooter. I shot competitively for a few years. But because I've moved around quite a bit, I haven't been competing professionally for a while, but I hope to pick it up either here. If I move here, I really want to move here. So if anyone has any jobs for me, I don't want to get married to move here. I just want to make that clear. I'm not going to marry someone for a green card. I want a legitimate job, and then I can move here. So that's the plan.
Oh, love it. I love they have to make that clear.
Yeah.
Although, if you want to marry a girl and it's no strings attached, I'm totally down. I'm
Oh
not
my
married.
goodness.
I won't get weird or creepy on you about it. So I'm just kidding.
How long do we have to stay together for? A year? We can do
Well,
a
I
year.
think they do check, but like we could just get a big house and live together. It wouldn't be fine.
This sounds like a plan.
I'm telling you. I should start advertising for that. So Australia. So everyone can travel. Everyone can travel between the states and outside of Australia right now.
Now, but for two years, my state, Western Australia, we weren't allowed to leave. So I'm originally from South Australia, which is in the middle, and I couldn't go home to see my family for 2 years because they closed the state border from the rest of the country. So WA was basically its own country for 2 years. It's actually quite scary how much control state governments had to be able to do that. And Australia, of course, closed its borders for about a year and a half. So we've been locked in, an island nation, but of course COVID's everywhere now. So what did we really gain? We didn't really prepare the hospitals like they said they would. The vaccine isn't working as well as they said it would. So I don't really understand why we gave up 2 years of our lives for what?
Yeah, it was everywhere back then too.
Yes.
It's so dumb. I think about that. I'm like, every country admittedly was dealing with it. So what the fuck did it matter if people were traveling between? Like, it's
That's
just
right. It was already everywhere anyway, yeah.
And it's just, you just like can't think logically about it like we do, because it's just gonna drive us. Well, I'm not letting it go. Like, I'm not letting it go.
I'm not letting it go either. And that's why I love coming on shows and reminding people, because people seem to be very quick to forget. I will never forget. I will never forget what they did to us. And I hope people carry that anger and it helps guide them in the future. Australia, it didn't this time for the election, but we've got 2.5 years and our inflation is through the roof like yours. Our economic debt is through the roof like yours. So all these great big Western nations, I'm actually really scared about what the next few years are going to hold.
So do you really want to move here? I mean, this is kind of the last place to go, isn't it? In like the world.
But at least you have a constitution and you've got rights.
Right.
Even
like after here.
Yeah. During the pandemic, we do have a constitution in Australia and there is a right to travel between the states. So someone took it to the High Court and said, well, WA, you're not letting us leave. And the High Court ruled that during a state of emergency, we don't have that right to move between the states. So we don't even have freedom of movement in our country. We don't have the Second Amendment. We don't have freedom of speech. And you guys, at least you have something.
Yeah, it's true. It is true. I think it wasn't as bad here. And some states were better than others, which just kind of proves that, divorce should be an option, or at least something we talk about, because it was like, yeah, look, like different states are different. But yeah, for not to be even able to travel within the same country, that was like bizarre. Yeah. It probably felt it felt weird. Even just a little bit of what I experienced in Colorado felt so. Why I'm so angry still, and not because I'm like, no one tells me what to fucking do, like ever. Okay. And I'm a good person. I'm not like, no one has to tell me what to do because I'm a good person and I'm not doing bad things. So when they push people like us, it's like, like you went too far if you're pushing the nice people. Or
that's right.
The pretty people. I'm just gonna say it, the pretty people especially, Oh yeah, it's so.
We don't even have any rights as pretty people anymore. I mean, come on.
They wanted to cover. We couldn't even use pretty privilege with the mask, for Christ's sake. Like,
oh yeah. Well, actually, funny you mentioned the mask. So as soon as I got on the plane in Sydney to fly here, I was allowed to take my mask off. But as soon as I get on the plane in LA tomorrow night to fly back to Australia, I have to wear a mask for 14 hours because it's Australian airspace.
So dumb.
It's torture. And it doesn't even protect anybody. Like, it should be your choice. If you want to sit there for 14 hours and wear a mask, go for it. But I don't. I'm a healthy, fit person. I will take my chances. I've already had COVID. Like, why do I have to play this game? It's a clown show that I didn't buy tickets for.
Yeah, it's so dehumanizing. I don't understand how people didn't see how dehumanizing it was, and the way people were like being pushy. But I'm like, do you not see how dehumanizing you're being? Like, and they'd be like, oh, it's like wearing pants. I'm like, you're comparing your face to your genitals or you're like your body. Like, why? Like, it's so frustrating. And it just was assuming everybody was so sick that they'd be spreading this disease. And that's not. But I guess that's the world we're in, where you assume you're sick all the time. I don't know. Weird.
Well, they
Oh yeah, everyone follow her. Oh, sorry. Everyone follow her on Twitter. It's at Kate. It's Kate, just with no space between your first name and last name, right?
Yeah, or Lady Liberty WAUS. That's my Twitter handle.
Okay. There you go. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, my taxes theft pic. Yeah, so I actually started my trip in DC visiting a friend. And for my campaign launch, I wore a taxes theft dress based on AOC's Tax the Rich dress. So that picture is on. I went to the White House and the Capitol and did a photo shoot. I got a few glares, but whatever. So I had a really good time here. I've had a lot of fun.
Good. I don't know if you know, Angela McArdle made a dress like that too in America.
Yeah,
we got to get one of those for you too, because it's like a nice little fun club dress, you know. But unfortunately, I have one, but one of my male friends likes to put it on at the Libertarian convention, so he has it right now. So,
oh my goodness,
he's a who. It's Kyle Ruff. He's a comedian, so it's it fits. But so now he actually has two of those dresses.
Well, he's not getting mine. I'm taking
no. Yours is like a fan. I liked yours because it was like a gown. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes. I feel bad like keeping you because you're in Vegas, and I'm like, I know. Is this the first time you've ever been to Vegas?
This is my 4th time.
Oh, okay. So you've had the Vegas experience.
Every time I come to America, actually, I said to my mom as soon as the border was open, I'm going to Vegas and disappearing for 2 weeks. She's like, don't tell me that. I'm like, don't worry, Mom. I won't tell you what I get up to. So that's what I've done.
I'm jealous. Like, that was one of the last places I went in 2019 was I had a Vegas trip. I love Vegas. And I don't even gamble, but I have so much fun. Just 2 or 3 nights even. I'm like, bing, bang, boom. It's party town. I love it.
Yeah. I like how weed's legal and you can shoot 50 cows just on the strip and the shooting ranges and walk around drinking. Like in Australia, you can't drink in public. Weed's illegal in Australia. Like that's why Australians come here and we feel like little children who've been let out finally. But that's how they treat us. So they don't realize we can actually have this too if we fight for it.
I know. And it's so because they didn't start taking guns away from you guys till in the 90s, right?
Yeah, 1996. 96, yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a very obvious, just you see it happening. So like when people in America don't see that, but they don't think along those lines anyways. People who are anti-gun, they don't think about that stuff, like where it can lead to. It's so crazy.
Yeah. Well, I saw Trudeau in Canada is banning handguns. Like any new sale of handguns is illegal, and if you own a handgun now, you can't sell it. So it's so obvious what they're doing. I don't understand how people can't make the link in their heads. This whole thing has been about control and taking power away from the people. Like, how much is it going to take for people to wake up, especially in Australia? Like, I feel Americans are a bit more on the ball here because you've got your rights and your freedoms and your liberties. Australians don't even appreciate what we have. So
it's just weird. Like, it's every human's basic instinct to defend yourself. So we know that you can defend yourself very well with guns, and we know bad guys often use guns, so we need to be equalized with them. And it's like, I don't understand how people don't see it so creepy to say you can't defend yourself in that way. It's just
creepy. Yes, I agree. Yeah. I'm going to start using that line, creepy. We don't even have pepper spray. I can't even use pepper spray to defend myself. So
damn.
Yeah.
What the heck? Okay, cool. We'll just not defend ourselves then, I suppose. Yeah, it's creepy. Someone asked in the chat about the camps. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, we're told to call the police if someone's trying to attack us or invade us or rape us. That's what we have to do. But the camps, so they did build quarantine camps across Australia and in my state of WA. They weren't built in time to be used. So they're still sitting there, and everyone has different theories on what they're going to use them for. So there was one in Northern Territory, Howard Springs, that was used, But every other facility that was built around the nation is just sitting there empty. So that's a good question. What is going to happen to these COVID camps? I don't know.
No, I get it. There's a place here in Colorado that I am convinced is going to become like a FEMA camp or some sort of like, not good for people like us kind of camp, because it's like right off the rail line. And it's like, it's a campground right now, but they expanded it huge and put all these little tiny homes in and stuff. And I'm like, this is making me nervous. And I looked into the company, and it's like it's another country that owns it. I'm pretty sure China. I couldn't get to the bottom of that, but it's some foreign company owns it. And they own thousands of campgrounds and trailer parks in the United States. And I'm like, what are these people up to? Like, what are they up to? It's hard not to think it'll be something weird,
I know. They're going to round up all the free thinkers, and that's where we're going to end up. Especially if we give away any more of our guns. Maybe. I don't know.
And especially they spent the money. I mean, the government spent the money to build those. And out here we had, in a lot of the states in America, they spent all this money on field hospitals. And we had one here in Denver. They built this field hospital, and it cost $60,000 a day from April till December. And they never once used it for COVID. They never once even used it. And they didn't even, I thought maybe once it started coming out that they weren't using it. We do have a homeless problem, like all the big cities in Denver. And like, I was like, oh, maybe they'll put the homeless in it, because they were trying to shove the homeless in private hotels and stuff. And I'm like, well, this would be a better option. They didn't even use it for the homeless people. So I'm like, where did that money go? And like, it's just, it got laundered, and it just drives me nuts. It's so inefficient.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, I remember, because Bruce, I know you know Bruce, and all the
Centrist.
other.
Yeah, shout out to Centrist. He's angry at me because I didn't give him a shout out on Liberty Lockdown. So
Okay.
Sorry, Centrist.
Everyone go follow Centrist Aussie. He was actually one of the first Australians I started talking to, and we really hit it off. And then he was doing stuff when they had the Libertarian podcast thing, and then just talking. I mean, I still love all that. I'm not part of any of that stuff, but I still love all them and talking to them. And it has been so nice, like being able to do this and talk to people from other places, especially during COVID, and then people there who maybe even Bruce, because he talks about, how we used to feel about guns then and now, it completely changed him, because he was like, oh, actually this government's not up to any good, like, so that's like one silver lining, is it did wake a lot of people up. I lost a lot of friends, but I gained a lot of friends as well.
Yeah, same. It's sad that the intolerant left is what I call them. Like, if you question what they believe, you're considered a bad person. When it's really, you're just trying to have a conversation, and they can't. They just go shut down, block you, or insult you. That's what they do. Like, they've lost. I feel humanity has gone backwards a little bit in terms of respecting other people's opinions. We don't even respect each other's bodily choices anymore. Like, the vaccine really divided. In my state of WA, you were locked out of pubs, restaurants, gyms, clubs, public libraries, museums. You were not allowed to go anywhere if you weren't triple jabbed. Like, they brought in mandates to have 3 injections, not just 2. 75% of the workforce had to have 3 injections to keep their job. I quit my job over it because I wanted to be a choice. But they took away all of that power, and people just didn't respect your choice and said, you're going to kill grandma because you're not going to get a vaccine, which didn't work anyway. So who's the bad person? Me for saying no and speaking out, or you for following and not standing up? And now we're in this position. It's because of them that we're in this position, not because of people like us. But they're not going to admit it or apologize.
I didn't kill anybody. Okay, like, I didn't kill anybody. No, that, and then in Australia, didn't they kind of make like the more blue collar service industry people take the vaccine as well down there? Where
everybody. I was in an office job, and they were making us have it. Like, what threat am I going to work in an office every day? Like,
yeah. It's so dumb and hard to cover. It really, that was like made me mad where my yoga studio started doing vaccine only, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute, you white bitches. You've been telling me for the last like 5 years I've been coming here that I do all this for health, proactive this. all this stuff, and now you're telling me I need a vaccine for this one thing. When I go to a class, it was hot yoga. You're breathing in who the hell knows what, like it's like I think we are fine, but then they're like, no, vaccine only, and I'm like, oh my god, it makes no sense how people. I understand a lot of businesses felt pushed up against the wall, with business licenses and stuff, and I'm like, and I was hiring a teacher. She eventually fell for all of it eventually. But at first she was like holding strong, and I hired her to come to my house and just teach me privately. But then she like fell into it, and she got in trouble during the class for like her mask was down a little bit, and someone reported her in a hot yoga class.
Oh my
like,
goodness.
No, it's Boulder, Colorado. I'm like, what is wrong with people? That's
Well,
been the craziest thing.
You still see people at restaurants today, like walk in, sit down, take it off to eat, and then put it back on. It's like, are you still doing that? Like, please, they're just part of the clown show. And what really gets me is when I see parents putting masks on their kids. That breaks my heart because there's studies showing it affects their speech and they're getting more introverted because of that. And I just can't help but shake my head. Like, kids are meant to get sick. That's how we get strong immune system. Why are you doing that to them? But that's their choice, whatever. But still,
yeah, it is. I mean, they'll listen to other like developmental things, but they won't listen to that. So
yeah,
I know. And like when you're a teenage girl, you just kind of like if you want to hide half the time anyway. So it's physically some of these girls are wearing it just to, people anyone in general just to hide kind of. And it's like I understand that. I understand not wanting to be paid attention to or something, but it's like that's like it just takes it to a whole nother level where it's like I'm not even a human and I'm just here,
Yeah.
There's still people in my grocery store out here. We live in Colorado, like the healthiest place in the world. They're still like, wah, wah. Got the mask on in the grocery store where we perform surgeries or something.
Oh my god.
Well, do you have anything else fun planned for while you're in Vegas? Any shows left? Well, I guess it's last night now, so.
I've had a few wild nights here, so I haven't been to Old Vegas yet downtown, so I'm going there tonight after to walk around and take it all in and smoke the rest of my joints before they get confiscated at the border. So, I really hope I can move here. Like, that's my dream. I love America so much. And everyone's been
so shout out to get a job for you. Someone hire her.
Someone give me a job. I could even come to Vegas. I don't mind. Like, actually, I think I tweeted Saturday night, somebody asked if I was one of the dancers on stage at this concert I was at. I was like, maybe I could do that. I'm just like, any job opportunity, as long as I keep my clothes on, I'll be fine.
Yeah, even like I know there's people in Denver who fly there like Thursday through Sunday and cocktail waitress. And they make good enough money doing it to where they like the flight. I don't know since flights have gotten more expensive, but at a time and in the past, that I was like, I'd do that too, man. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's worth it. And people obviously can do it and like make it. I know when I'm in Vegas at the pool, I tip real good. I love going to the topless pools. And it's like just like going hog wild and throwing money. That's why you go because it's like just
Sin
fun.
City. That's right. Sin City. Anything goes in Vegas.
I
don't want to leave.
Well, that's right. I'm glad you at least after the 2 years of fucking bullshit, I'm glad you made it over here and were able to go and do the fun things you like to do. So, plus, did you do anything else you haven't done before while you've been here?
I went to Niagara Falls because I haven't been there before, and that's always been on my list. I didn't actually go to the Canadian side because they said to get onto the Canadian side, you have to download a government app, upload your vaccine certificates, and then wear a mask the whole time, even when you're outside. And I just looked at them and that's just crazy. Like, but on the American side, you're fine. Like, do they not realize how dumb this is? Like, poor Canada. I love Canada. And some people in Canada got a bit angry at me for tweeting that, but that's what their rule is. It's not my fault. Like, get angry at your government, not me for calling it out as stupid. So I got to see Niagara Falls from the better side, the free side. And then I've been to so many beautiful states I've never been. Like, I went to Maine. Haven't been there before, so that's quite pretty. But yeah, I've just tried to fit in as much as I can in 6 weeks. But I'll definitely be back. This is one of my favorite countries. So
Yeah, if you come back, tell me next time you're in Vegas. I'll come out to Vegas. We'll
Yes, I want to party with you.
I was like looking at pictures. What was that?
We'd get in all sorts of trouble.
Oh yeah, and I like know people who live out there too, and like yeah, it's just so fun. God, it's so fun. I'm like,
I actually haven't been to Colorado. I have to come visit you in Colorado.
Oh yeah, anytime. Anytime in Colorado, it's fun. There's so much to do here as far as like mountain stuff, Denver stuff, country stuff, everything. Like I love Colorado, and I'm not. A lot of people are like hate Colorado because the cities have been kind of taken over, but the rest of it hasn't. There's a lot of people who got woken up during COVID to especially kind of question the really far right too, and be a little more libertarian minded, like oh, they didn't help protect us either. So and like so that's been better. And then through Twitter and stuff, I made such a huge community out here with the LP and the Mises Caucus, and like everyone's so cool. Like we really do. I say this all the time, but the Colorado Mises crew is like the coolest people in all of the Libertarian Party in all of America. And I don't care who I offend with that, but it's the truth. I'm just saying. So yeah, you'll have to come out here sometime. There's a lot to do.
The Libertarian Party in DC hosted me at one of their events, so they were really welcoming. It feels like a lifetime ago now. So, and I was meant to see Spike Cohen, the VP nominee, but our paths just didn't cross. So sorry, Spike. Next time, I'll just have to come back. But really, that's the solution.
Well, did you lose kind of some time, or like you had some mess ups with the airplanes? They screwed you up out of time, I'm sure. And
yeah,
that's annoying.
Your airports are some of the worst places on earth. Like, I was stuck in Newark, New Jersey for 3 days when I was meant to be in Vegas. It was torture. It was just, yeah.
Did you have somewhere to go at least, or like somewhere to land?
They put me up in a hotel, but airport hotels are like in between heaven and hell. You don't go to heaven and hell. You go to an airport hotel indefinitely, where you never know when you're going to leave. That's torture. It was horrible, but I'm here now. I put it behind me, and I more than made up for it.
Yeah, were you planning on going somewhere else after Vegas before?
Yeah, I was going to go down to Mexico because I haven't been to Mexico yet, but because I lost 3 days, I just extended my stay in Vegas. And I was going to go to LA, but I've been there before and I don't really like all that. That's basically like going to Western Australia with all their COVID rules and things. So I'm just giving Cali a miss this time. Hopefully they can let go of this COVID stuff one day. But
it's weird. It's weird out there, especially. It's sad too because they have all the beaches and like it's nice in California, but not putting up with that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I want to keep you here, but I also I'm so happy you're in Vegas and totally know what it's like to be in Vegas and just want to soak it all in. So we can keep going, or you can get off if you want. It's up to you.
Does anybody have any questions for me?
Yeah, everyone asks questions. Let me check the Twitter too. I like that you're Tank Top Gang. This is Tank Top Gang podcast. Oh no, that's not. The South. Oh, someone says you have to check out the South. I think is that where the festival you went was kind of in the South?
That was in Kentucky, so that's as far south that I went this time. I have been to Texas before, but only Dallas. So I've got to get back and do more of that area. So next time, yes, that will be on my list.
Vegas, Colorado, Texas, Georgia. So yeah, you should do it. Definitely do Colorado. Because you'll have a blast out here too. Even if Vegas is fun, but we like to have fun in Colorado too.
Cool.
Different. Like renting cabins in the mountains for partying with kid or whatever, And mountain biking, be healthy during the day and then just party at night.
Yes, that's the way. Oh, Florida. I have been to Florida before. So.
Oh, and someone said, let's see what's this. How prevalent COVID news is in Australia? Is it still 24/7?
Yeah, we get updates every day how many cases there are. They're still telling us how many cases, like that even matters. They're still obsessed with it. They're still pushing the vaccine. They're talking about mandating the 4th shot now in my state. They're talking about bringing back mask mandates. So you have to wear masks on planes in Australia. That's why I have to wear one on my 14-hour flight tomorrow night because it's Australian airspace. Yeah, they're still obsessed with it. Australia, Canada, New Zealand, they're just not letting it go. I think because they locked down the hardest and they realize it didn't really achieve much, if anything, but they don't want to let it go yet. They're trying to like gaslight people into saying, no, these restrictions still kind of work, so we'll do some of them. It's like, just let us live our lives and leave us alone. Like, you've done enough. You've done enough.
It's like, yeah, I think you're like, I think I'm doing okay. Like, I think you don't need to worry about me. One last silly question here. More likely to get attacked by a kangaroo or thrown into a internment camp for not vaccinating.
Definitely the second one, internment camp for not vaccinating. Yes.
Are there a lot of kangaroos in the Western Australia?
Yeah.
Because aren't they kind of a nuisance somewhere? Like there's too many of them in some places.
Yeah, I've been out hunting because I'm a hunter with my dad, and it gets to the point where you need to cull them. So
do you eat them? Have you eaten them?
Yeah, I've eaten them. Yeah, you can eat them. I don't really like them that much. It's a bit too gamey for me, but it's worth trying once. You know, you should try anything once.
Yeah, I was wondering because that there's that meat eater show. He hunts and eats kangaroo in one of the episodes. I'm like, oh, that'd be interesting because they are muscular little motherfuckers. They always like, or they seem muscular. But.
Bit chewy.
Well, thank you for coming on. I'm on you. Go have fun your last night in America. So.
Thanks for having me, and I'll definitely be back. And if you
ever come
to Australia, let us know.
Yeah, same. Keep in touch when you're back over here too.
Yes. Thank you, lovely.
As well, is there anywhere else to follow you other than Twitter? Like anything else?
I have a Facebook page, Kate Fantinel, Lady Liberty. I post a lot of memes on there, and I have Instagram, Kate Fantinel as well. So get around me.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.